Ladies and gentlemen, we are going to be debuting a new guy today. It's ArbuzBudesh. I think I said that name correctly. He's going to be going up against ECalipso. This is going to be Protoss Mirror. And ECalipso is also going to be making his tournament debut later today. Very exciting. Let's get into it. We're back on Paradise just like we were with Jack Yelansky against Neblime. So I hope you guys aren't too tired of that map just yet. We've got ECalipso in the top right and Arbuz in the bottom right. Cool stuff, cool stuff. We're getting a lot of new people in, as per usual. You know, we got a couple other guys who are new and seem to be playing quite all right for themselves. And I'm excited about that, of course. You know, whenever we're thinking about like the multiplayer space, sure, it can be great fun to have new guys that don't really know what they're doing and they're learning the project together and they're experimenting with stuff and it's super cool and super fun. That stuff can be very, very enjoyable, very satisfying. But one of the things that I always look forward to is the development of more high skill strategies and more interesting things. And speaking of, ECalipso actually cutting workers for a little bit here so he can drop his gateway down. Very, very interesting. You will notice there's a slight UI issue on this version of the game. This has already been resolved, but you at the very least you can see their names at the same time. Isn't that funny? That's some incomplete work that we were trying to do there. So just don't mind that. You'll always know whose structure it is, I guess, no matter who I'm clicking on. I guess it's helpful for the mirror matchup. Anyway, this is Cosmonarchy. This is a very different game than Starcraft 1. You can notice that our players will start to harvest Vespene directly from the geyser as one of the features that you can indeed do. And we've got gateways on the way for both of our players. Arbuz has, let's just say, markedly less APM spam than ECalipso. You know, he's definitely keeping it more low. You know, the number that is the same color as their player color is indeed where their APM is at. So gateways are coming up here. Second one for ECalipso. His first one is complete, but he's holding off on his first unit. So it's going to be a little bit here. He's actually making a lot of Vespene. Wouldn't be surprised if this was for a Hierophant or an Ecclesiast at some point, but we'll see what he ends up doing because he's still spending down. He made this gateway really early, and it is a Hierophant first. But despite the fact that he made the gateway so early, he didn't actually use it. So I kind of feel like very minor detail here, but he may have wanted to just keep making workers instead. Maybe this is the warm-up game. This is the first game these two played against each other in a set of matches, and we're only going to cast the one because I was told that was the one to look at of the two. But nonetheless, we're in a pretty good spot for what we're expecting here. And it's actually, this is funny, it's Hierophant first for both players. Scribe now scouting out. Now, listen, Arbuz walks out in here. He scouts his opponent first, late, but still first, and refuses to elaborate. And that's pretty cool. It looks like ECalipso is actually, he scouted, you know, top left and then bottom left, and only now after going to the middle of the map, maybe scouting and watching out for, what do you call it? The like any proxy gate shenanigans or something. Then he's going to go back home just to see what's going on. I don't mind that as an idea. Third gate coming for Arbuz. Not interested in expanding just yet. Interesting stuff. Arbuz has been pretty active in the discussion channels lately, talking about the single player stuff and the fact that he's more of a team game guy usually, but seems interested in playing some 1v1 for now, trying to learn the game and see what's going on. I like that he's got the Zealots and the Hierophant. Slick new Hierophant model, of course. Looks good in that color. It's going to be Hierophant, Draken. Really, he's making one of every unit. The only thing he's missing is Legionnaires. Looks like he's going to skimp out on those. But you can make 5 units from the gateway, obviously. So very interesting stuff there. I guess technically, in StarCraft 1, you can make 6 units from the gateway if you count the Archons that you can meld from existing Templar and Dark Templar, High Templar. But that's not the case for Cosmo. Cosmo just has like 5 units per building, mostly. There's some buildings that only have 4, like the... obviously, the Ardent Authority comes to mind, and some other units as well, some other structures as well. And some structures only have 2, like the Monument of Sin. Can you believe it? But still, 2 pretty powerful units, man. But yeah, we'll probably see some mid-game stuff out of these two, I'm guessing. Just judging by the replay size. You can see here ECalipso holding his ramp, ready for aggression. Not sure what Arbuz is all about. He's going to give him a little bit of respect here and do a little wiggle dance while he summons up enough resources for his Nexus. Always exciting, always exciting. And now we have an embassy coming for Arbuz. So he's going to choose to augment his economy. He has fallen behind in worker production a little bit, prioritizing military at the very least instead. And he's got the one Hierophant, which will catch the Scribe over here. It is worth noting that Arbuz did lose his worker, his scout worker. But that only accounts for 1 of the 3 workers that he's currently down, now that we have evened that out. So, yeah, a little bit... maybe slower on the trot when it comes to, you know, keeping his Nexus on 100% uptime and all that. I like that he's slinking up over here just to, you know, evade any high ground advantage. You do get +2 weapon range when attacking downward. So here comes the force on the other side. Now, what is ECalipso going to focus on? He wants to get rid of the Hierophant on the other side so that he can enchant his own units for free. But he actually needs to break this force. The Zealots getting healed so many times by the Ecclesiasts. Unfortunately, some of them are targeting the Nexus, so not really getting their DPS up as much as they would like. But we haven't seen any of the attack rating enhancements. That Hierophant actually going down for ECalipso, so he's been reduced to just a small number, and more Zealots coming on in. That's a canceled Nexus, and with the embassy on the way and actually completed now for Arbuz, it's looking pretty good for him to just pump out more workers and reclaim this disadvantage, right? The idea for ECalipso was that he was going to use his Nexus and do it that way instead, but obviously not the case. So yeah, really nice, strong initial showing here. Warden by the cliff, scared him into a rogue gallery as well, and there's the embassy coming in after the fact. I don't know if he can bust the ramp, but I would be pretty terrified in this position. Now ECalipso trying to get that. He'll have the Warden available. There's a lot of Zealots, a lot of Ecclesiasts. He's really working well with that. I know that Arbuz has also commented elsewhere that versus Zerg, he really likes to use lattice units, and that's something that we saw Nebelheim do very well as well. Wasn't sure if he would pull it out versus Protoss, but clearly he doesn't need it. Already looking quite good. Saw his APM spiking up there to match ECalipso's for a moment. Could definitely be doing a little bit more with the steady worker production, though, especially considering the embassy is now complete for ECalipso. I think our more veteran Protoss will be able to keep the macro lead going. But, I mean, you say that, the Nexus is halfway done for his opponent, so this upstart guy might be coming in swinging. The defensive Warden and Pylon over here for redundancy. It's going to keep power to these two gateways. It could be kind of interesting, I'm just now realizing, if we added some kind of audio-visual or maybe just visual cue to indicate how many times a structure was enchanted by a particular pylon or something. Or maybe when you, like a really lame version of that, right, developer art version of that would be, or programmer art, I should say, would be like if you clicked a pylon and it like drew lines to all the structures that it powered. That would be fine, I guess, you know, that would be fine. But I would like something a little bit better. Maybe if you detect that with a witness, you would see that from your enemy's POV as well, like if you clicked your enemy's units in that way. But all right, ECalipso has sort of sauntered on out. He's using Vagrants from the Rogue Gallery to pad a little bit of his army's single target DPS. No crowd control from him, though. I mean, he could go for Charlatans. They do a little bit of splash. And most importantly, they can help you burst down units before the healing from the Ecclesiasts can get too powerful. But that's what the Protoss units are all about. They can be pretty good stat balls, but you want to see if you can sustain their shields. However, the initial positioning here definitely favoring ECalipso, I think. He's actually going to charge forward with his Ecclesiasts. He fears no foe, but there's the Ascension, right? That increases the attack rate pretty significantly. You can just hear the shots firing faster, and that happens when you take a dying unit that has that red overlay like that. You can see him trying to focus that down so you can get that buff. That's very, very powerful. So the strobing kicking in there, but despite all of that, oh, now it's turned, you know, the shoes on the other foot, so to speak, with having to force that disengage. Here's a Charlatan, though. So we might see a little bit of an extra focus fire as a result of that. Hierophant's slowing them down very marvelously. Remember that the Nexus is over here tanking a lot of hits. Now Arba's trying to guide his units a little bit further forward. Most of them are indeed attacking the enemy forces. When those Ecclesiasts die, they release that blue overlay onto their allies, and that increases their movement speed. And ECalipso has been using that to try to escape his surefire defeat otherwise. The Charlatan, all the way in the back, had way more power here than maybe you would have expected, because any unit that attacks the victim of the Charlatan will deal 1.5 times damage, basically, because they fire a phantom strike after hitting them. So that was like the extra projectiles that you may have seen in that fight coming to fruition. Very nice stuff there from ECalipso to drive his opponent back. Won't be able to get his Nexus canceled the second time, but trading down the army, it kind of favors Arbuz a little bit. Let's just see. Grand Library on the way down here on the low ground. He's actually making 2 of them. Nice bad boy new structure size and such. If anybody's been around for a while, they know that the Grand Library has been here for a solid minute, and it used to be much bigger and used to be a lot more expensive as well. It's a little bit cheaper, and especially when it comes to the build size, that actually does make a pretty big difference. Arba's doing pretty well to keep his army topped up in style here. He's got the military advantage. The top right counter is workers over military. So he's even on workers, which You might suspect that he should have been able to be ahead in workers by now. I think that's fair to say. But despite that, being even, with ECalipso it's no small feat, I would say. And it looks like he's looking for a third base. So he's going to bring his scribe out and secure that third with more tempo than his opponent. So he's still using that advantage that he secured from that position. And an Ardent Authority coming here from ECalipso. Remember, the embassy does give you that flexibility. People are building it as a matter of course for the workers, but it also gives you that flexibility to go for witnesses, to spy on your opponent, and of course, to go for envoys. And both of our players have it, but it doesn't look like the embassy has really been used by Arbuz. I was looking around to see if I could spot any vision from him or anything like that. He does have a witness in his enemy's base. Okay, there you go. So there is a witness over there. ECalipso thinking about taking his own third base. Looks like he's just about ready to throw it down. Needs to wait for a little bit more cash flow. That's pretty good saturation, it looks like over here. Almost saturated at the natural and very nicely saturated over in the main. Could even transfer some workers for more efficiency. So he spots the Nexus going down at pretty much the same time. So Arbuz actually maybe taking a little bit too long there. He wanted to queue up those golems, which, by the way, each one of those are 200 minerals each. With the, interesting. So we've got an Atreus and we've got a Cantavis. With the Cantavis, we saw Neblime doing that trick where he would go for the Psystorm to make the golems heal each other. I kind of like that trick. It does seem like it would work pretty nicely to give the golems some nice power with each other. And yeah, I don't know. I don't know if it's going to be something that you can deploy versus this. I don't even know if Arbuz is aware of that. Probably not, because the game in which it happened was not released on YouTube until the day I'm recording this, which is also the day that this match was played. So, I don't think he could have known. Or no, I guess this match was played yesterday, right? Yeah, that makes sense. Anyhow, we do indeed have another attack in the making. The engram is not complete yet, but it will be soon, so you'll see that big structure finish off. Nice Psystorm, couple of them in fact. Good spellcasting choices here from Arbuz, making sure to zone away the forces. You can tell that the ECalipso maybe not super used to fighting that particular force. Now the attack speed increase is kicked in, thanks to the Hierophants that have been consistently being produced by both players at this point, but especially Arbuz, favoring them a lot. He has an Atreus for some minor splash damage, and the speed boost from one of his fallen Ecclesiasts. They might actually be working against him. The Cantavis is frontlining. Could have been on a separate control group, I think. Now he's charging forward to try to bring down the engram, and he will, but at what cost? The rest of his army taken out almost completely to the last man. In fact, I'd be very surprised if these Atreuses can escape. If that Hierophant can, sort of tag it. Yeah, there it is. All right, but maybe one of them will manage to waddle off away. It's going to be Zealot Atreus here for Arbuz. He doesn't have anything coming from the Lattice. He didn't really resaturate a multitask back here super well. His Witness now revealing his opponent's Witness. And here comes the sort of capitalization. Okay, you destroy my engram, but you didn't trade my army down, which gives me the ability to attack into you. And yeah, Arbuz is going to have to GG off of that one. Nice and short today. We do indeed have... Oh, look at that. There's a bunch of people spectating. And GG is called with ECalipso coming out on top. But hey, Arbuz had a really nice showing there. And I feel like if he had been a little bit more on top of his activity back at home, he would have done really nicely. So, hey, I hope this cast, which is short compared to the other ones that we've uploaded recently, has whetted your appetite, because today is the May Royal Invitational. There will be hours more Cosmonarchy brought to your screen. All you need to do is watch out for when this channel goes live. We got games for days. And we'll see you guys very soon for even more action. Peace.